Chapter 1. The rain had a rhythm to it, soft, steady, like a memory humming against the windows. Aoi pulled her hoodie over her head and stepped out onto the veranda. The sky was a moody gray, casting the seaside town of Minato in a bluish hue. The ocean roared in the distance, muffled by the hush of falling rain. She passed the old rusted mailbox without looking at it. She always did. But today, it clicked. A small metallic sound. A latch, shifting AIW, froze mid-step. Breath-catching. That mailbox had been sealed shut since the day of Haruki's funeral. Her mother painted it closed, as if pretending it never existed would erase the pain. But now, after 5 years, it had opened on its own. She turned slowly. The lid was slightly ajar, heart pounding. Aoi walked over, raindrops sliding down her cheeks. Like tears, she wouldn't let herself cry. Her fingers hesitated on the edge before lifting the lid fully. Inside sat a cream-colored envelope. No stamp, no address. Just her name written in familiar handwriting. To Aoi, from Haruki. The world blurred. Around the edges, her hands trembled as she pulled the letter out, her eyes scanning the page. Hey, little sis, did you remember to take your umbrella? I bet you didn't. The rain's heavier today. It always is around this time of year. I hope you're still painting, and I hope you haven't stopped talking to people just because I'm not there anymore. You're stronger than you think. Haruki Oi's knees nearly gave out. She clutched the letter to her chest and stared at the mailbox, as if it would explain itself. Instead, she heard footsteps behind her. A boy stood at the bottom of the hill, holding a transparent umbrella. He wore their school uniform, though. She didn't recognize him. His hair was silver, almost glowing in the rain, and his expression unreadable. Their eyes met. And in that moment, Aoi felt something shift, like a thread tugging at the past, like a story beginning all over again. Chapter 2. Aoi didn't move. The boy stood still halfway up the path that curved around the house. Rain slid down in sheets, soaking everything except him. His umbrella was bone dry, not a single droplet clung to it. Not even the ground beneath his shoes looked wet. Aoi blinked. Her throat tightened. He raised his hand slowly and gave her a small, almost apologetic wave. Hi, he said softly. You dropped something. She looked down. The letter. She hadn't even noticed it fall from her hands. It now lay on the wet veranda, except it wasn't wet. The paper was completely dry, untouched. By the rain, she picked it up, quickly tucking it inside her hoodie. Who are you? She asked. I'm Ren, he replied, stepping closer. Transfer student. I start school tomorrow. That didn't explain anything. Aiwi took a step back, her instincts prickling. Were you watching me? No. His eyes were dark, unreadable but not unkind. I was supposed to be here today. That's all. A beat passed. Then, as if sensing she wasn't ready for more, Ren dipped his head. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. He turned to leave, pausing just long enough to say, Don't throw the letter away. She opened her mouth to ask how he knew about it, but he was already gone, his figure fading into the mist and rain like he had never been there at all. That night, Aoi couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, the letter on her desk whispering to her like a ghost. She had read it again and again. She knew Haruki's handwriting like her own heartbeat, but it wasn't possible. He was gone. He'd drowned in a storm just like this one, 5 years ago. The Coast Guard never found his body. Some people said the sea kept what it wanted. Aoi clutched her phone. She could text Miki, her best friend, maybe her only friend, but what would she say? Hey, my dead brother wrote me a letter today and a ghost boy showed up to watch me read it. No, she couldn't say that out loud. Instead, she got up and walked to the window. Rain traced silver veins on the glass. In the distance, near the hill that led to the school, a figure stood under a glowing street lamp. Silver hair, clear umbrella. Ren. He wasn't moving, just watching the sea. And in the silence, Aoi knew this wasn't over. Chapter 3. The next morning, the rain had finally stopped. Sunlight crept over Minato's rooftops, turning puddles gold and catching. In the early mist, Aie walked to school with her headphones in, but no music playing, just the soft static of silence to drown out her thoughts. She kept glancing behind her, half expecting to see Ren again, but the streets were empty as she reached the school gates. Clusters of students buzzed with their usual morning noise. Aoi pulled her hood tighter over her head, hoping to blend in. She didn't. Aoi-chan. Mickey's voice cut through the noise like sunlight through fog. She trotted over with her usual messy ponytail and bright energy. You look like you didn't sleep, she said, poking Aoi's cheek. Are you okay? Aoi gave her a tired half smile. Just weird dreams? Miki tilted her head. You sure you're okay? Something about the rain gets to you every year. Aioi's chest tightened. She nodded. Yeah, I'm fine. She wasn't all day. Her thoughts drifted to the letter, to Ren, to the way his umbrella hadn't gotten wet, and then, there he was at the start of 5th period. Their homeroom teacher introduced the new transfer student. This is Ren Sakamoto, the teacher said. He transferred from Tokyo. I hope you'll make him feel welcome. Aoi's heart thud, Ren, stood calmly at the front of the class. No nervousness, no fidgeting. His eyes scanned the room until they landed on her, and stayed. She looked away. The teacher pointed to the only available seat. Right behind Aoi, of course. As he walked past her desk, their shoulders nearly brushed. He sat down with a soft sigh, like he'd just taken his place in a story already written. After class, Aoi waited until everyone else had left before turning. To face him, you said you were supposed to be at my house, she said quietly. Why? Ren didn't flinch. Because that's where the letter showed up? You knew it would. He nodded. It always starts there. With you with the first letter. She stared. What is this? Some kind of prank? No, he met her eyes gently. This is a loop, and I'm here to help you remember how to end it. End what? The rain? Aoi's world seemed to spin. You're not making any sense. I know, he said, but you will. He stood, slipping his bag over his shoulder. When the second letter comes, don't be afraid. To read it, it'll hurt, but it's how this all begins to heal. She watched him walk out of the classroom, his presence as soft and strange as fog. The second letter, a loop, an ending to the rain. What did he mean? And why, despite everything? Did she believe him? Chapter 4. The second letter arrives that night. The rain returned. It wasn't loud or stormy, just the soft kind, the type that lingered like unspoken words. Aoi sat curled on her bed, sketchbook open in her lap. Her pencil moved without purpose, drawing shadows and shapes she couldn't name. She hadn't spoken to Ren again since school. She couldn't, but his words wouldn't leave her. This is a loop, and I'm here to help you remember how to end it. What loop? What was she supposed to remember? Her eyes drifted to the sealed envelope tucked in her desk drawer. Haruki's first letter. She had read it 5 times. 10, maybe. Every word felt like him. Every sentence pulled her deeper into the ache she'd spent years burying. She thought she was done grieving, apparently. Grief wasn't done with her just past midnight. Something stirred outside. A soft clang. The mailbox, Aoi, bolted upright. She moved without thinking, tiptoeing across the creaky wooden floor, pulling on her hoodie, and slipping outside. The rain whispered across the roof as she stepped barefoot onto the veranda, her breath fogged in the cool night air. The mailbox was open, and inside a second letter. This one, too, bore her name. The handwriting just as familiar, steady, looping, careful. She opened it with trembling hands. Aoi, do you remember the day we ran away to the cliffs? You cried because you thought you'd never be brave like the girls in your stories. But I told you something that day. I said. You don't have to be brave all the time. You just have to stay. I know you didn't stay. Not really. You've been drifting since I left. But that's okay. I'm not mad. I just want you to come back now. Come back to the world. Don't let the rain swallow you. Haruki's tears came before she could stop them. She sank to the ground, the letter clutched to her chest, her bare knees pressed against the wet wood of the veranda, but she didn't care. He remembered the cliffs. She had forgotten not until now. The next morning, Aoi skipped school. She took the train to the edge of town, to the place no one really visited, any more the cliffs overlooking the sea. The sky was still gray, clouds heavy with unshed rain. She stood on the edge, wind tugging at her sleeves. The ocean below crashed and whispered, a memory surfaced like fog parting on still water. She was 10, Haruki was 15. He had carried her on his back, laughing, telling her stories about brave girls who fought monsters. She had cried, saying she'd never be like them. He had said the words again in the letter. You don't have to be brave all the time. You just have to stay. She hadn't stayed, not in her heart, not with her friends, not with herself. She had drifted numb. A voice cut through her thoughts. You remembered? She turned. Ren stood, a few feet away, hands in his coat pockets. His silver hair shimmered like frost in the cloudy light. You were here, she whispered. I always am. When you remember. Aoi looked at him, her eyes shining. Who are you? Ren's smile was sad. I'm the part of the story that never got told. Chapter 5. The wind was colder by the cliffs. Ren didn't speak right away. He simply stood beside Aoi, his presence quiet and patient like the sea itself. Aoi didn't ask him to leave. She didn't want him to. Not yet. Tell me, she finally said. Tell me what you mean by a loop. Ren looked out over the ocean. His eyes reflected the gray horizon. It's not time yet, he said gently, but I can tell you this much. He turned to her. This isn't the first time you've read those letters, or come here, or asked who I am. Her stomach dropped. What are you saying? He took a breath. There's a version of you that never came to the cliffs. A version that tore up the letters, buried them under years of silence. That version never healed. I don't. Her voice cracked. I don't understand. Are you saying I've done this before? He nodded once. Many times. Aoi's pulse quickened. So you're what a ghost. A dream? Ren's expression softened. I'm not alive, but I'm not dead either. I'm what remains when something is left unfinished. She stared at him, heart pounding. Are you? Connected to Haruki? Yes. The wind howled gently behind them, whipping strands of Aoi's hair across her face. Ren looked at her like he already knew. The questions she hadn't dared ask. Your brother loved you more than anything, he said. He couldn't find peace, not while you were still lost in the rain. Aoi felt her knees weaken. I thought I was okay, she whispered. I know. You thought forgetting would protect you. But memories don't die. They wait. They stood there, side by side, as the wind howled and the first drops of rain began to fall again. Ren opened his umbrella. Aoi didn't move. She let the rain soak through her hoodie, her jeans, her skin until it felt like she was awake for the first time in years. Then she looked up. Is this why you came? To remind me, Ren hesitated, double quotes. No, I came because the ending changed this time. Aoi blinked. What do you mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he held out his hand. Come back to the world with me. And for the first time in 5 years, she took someone's hand. Asterisk. Asterisk chapter 6. They didn't speak as they walked. Ren's umbrella hovered just above both their heads, casting a glassy dome between them and the falling rain. It made everything outside feel quiet, distant, like the world was underwater. Aoi had never walked this path with anyone since Haruki died. The narrow trail from the cliffs to the town was overgrown and damp. Ferns brushed their ankles. Raindrops clung to every leaf. Somewhere in the mist, a train horn echoed like a forgotten lullaby. How long will you stay? Aoi asked, her voice barely above the hush of rain. Ren didn't answer right away until the rain stops. Aoi frowned. You said that before. I did, but it rains all the time here. I know. She slowed her steps. So, are you saying the rain's because of me? Ren looked at her, his gaze steady. It's not just weather, it's memory. That answer stirred something in her chest. A quiet ache like a bruise she'd forgotten was there. They reached the edge of town just as the rain began to lighten. The houses looked smaller than she remembered. The street lamps blinked on one by one, casting halos in the mist. Aoi hadn't walked this way in years. Past the bookstore, Haruki used to bring her to past the cafe where he'd wait after school. With 2 lemon sodas and a sketchpad full of silly cartoons, memories flickered with every step. I forgot all of this, she said quietly. No, Ren said. You buried it. That's different. They stopped at a familiar corner. The one near the old bookstore. Its windows were fogged up. Through the glass, a lamp glowed warm and soft. Aoi's feet stayed planted. I haven't been back since she swallowed. Since he disappeared, Ren's eyes were gentle. You don't have to go in, not yet, but I want to, she whispered. It just hurts. He nodded, then offered something she didn't expect. A small, folded note from Haruki. He said, her breath caught. She took it. This one wasn't in an envelope. The paper was slightly crumpled, as if it had been carried in someone's pocket for a long time. Aoi, you always thought you had to be strong for Mom, for everyone. But you don't have to carry everything alone. You can cry. You can fall apart. You can walk into the places that hurt. And you can walk back out again. Go back to the bookstore. Sit in our spot. Order something sweet. And when you're ready, draw again. I'll be there in the ways that matter. Haruka tears welled in Aoi's eyes. She didn't wipe them away. Instead, she stepped toward the bookstore door. I'm going in, she said. Ren smiled, and for the first time it wasn't sad. I'll wait here. As the bell above the door chimed, Aoi stepped into the warmth. The rain outside slowed, and somewhere, a page in her heart, long shut, gently turned. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 7. The bell above the bookstore door chimed softly. As stepped inside, it smelled just the same. Old paper, wood polish, and the faintest trace of lemon candy. Warm light spilled from vintage lamps. Dust floated in the air like memories. A radio played some jazz tune from decades ago. Slow and scratchy. Everything looked untouched. Like it had waited for her. Her eyes drifted to the corner table. 2 stools, one cracked. One always a little taller than the other. Haruki's spot. She walked over, sat down, and ran her fingers along the edge of the wood. There were still faint doodles carved into it, tiny stars. Lightning bolts, a lopsided cat. Haruki had drawn them when they were bored, waiting out storms. A few moments later, a soft voice interrupted her thoughts. Same order. Aoi looked up. It was the owner, Mr. Nakamura. His hair was grayer now, but his eyes were just as kind. She hesitated, then nodded. 2 lemon sodas, please. When the drinks came, she stared at them for a long time. The fizz, the pale yellow glow, the 2 glasses sweating side by side. One for her. One for him. She sipped slowly, the tangy sugar sparking old feelings. Then, without fully realizing it, she pulled out her sketchbook and opened to a blank page. For a moment, her pencil hovered. Then it moved. She didn't draw Haruki's face. She couldn't yet. Instead, she drew the umbrella Ren's clear, impossible umbrella, and a single figure beneath it. Not quite a boy, not quite a ghost. Outside the window, Ren leaned against a street lamp, waiting. When Aoi finally stepped out, something in her felt lighter, not fixed, but softened. Like the ground beneath her was no longer crumbling. She handed him the sketch without saying a word. Ren looked down at it. He didn't speak either, but when he looked back at her, something flickered in his eyes. Not surprise, not sadness. Recognition. Double quotes. Why do you know Haruki so well? Aoi asked quietly. Ren held the sketch carefully. Because I'm the part of him that couldn't let go. The words hit like thunder, soft but final. Aoi stared at him, breath caught. You're, he nodded. I'm not Haruki. Not exactly, but I'm what he left behind. The piece of love that refused to move on. And suddenly, everything made sense. The way Ren knew the letters, the way the rain seemed to follow her, sadness, the way his umbrella never got wet. He wasn't a ghost. He was a memory, a wish, a promise. UNKEPT. And now, he was fading. Aoi could see it now, the slight shimmer around him, the way his shoes didn't quite press into the puddles. How long do I have? She whispered. Ren smiled softly, until the last letter.
Chapter 8. The rain didn't fall the next morning. Instead, it lingered in the air, a hush, a softness, like the world was holding its breath. Aoi sat by her window, the first rays of sunlight warming her fingertips. Her sketchbook was open beside her, but she hadn't drawn anything yet. She was afraid of finishing the drawing, of reading the next letter, of losing Ren. Her phone buzzed. A message from Miki. Still skipping school, I'll bring snacks. You owe me a story. Aoi smiled faintly, but didn't reply. By afternoon, the clouds had returned, and with them, so did the letter. She found it in the mailbox again, unsealed this time, like it trusted her now. The paper was still cream-colored, still folded neatly. Her name was written in the same ink. She sat on the veranda and opened it. Aoi, you're getting close. I can feel it. The world is shifting. You're starting to look forward instead of back. I'm proud of you for that. But I need to ask one more thing of you. Go to the harbor, the place where we said goodbye. I think you've avoided it long enough. There's something waiting for you there. Haruki stared at the paper for a long time, rain beginning to fall around her. The harbor. She hadn't gone near it since the night of the storm. The night Haruki was taken. Her mother had once tried to drag her there during one of the memorials, but Aoi had frozen halfway, sobbing so hard her knees gave out. She had vowed never to return until now. She found Ren already waiting there. He stood at the edge of the dock, where the wooden planks met the endless gray sea. His umbrella was folded at his side, hair damp, skin glowing faintly in the dim light. I didn't think I'd come, she admitted, standing beside him. But you did, he said. I didn't know I was ready. You weren't supposed to be ready, Ren murmured. You were just supposed to come. They stood in silence. The harbor stretched out before them. Rusted boats, coiled ropes, salt in the wind. The sea whispered old things. This is where I said goodbye, she whispered. But I never got to say goodbye, Ren nodded. And he never got to hear it. Aoi's hands trembled. The memories returned in flashes, sirens in the distance. Rain lashing down, her mother screaming into the dark, and Aoi standing frozen on this very dock, waiting for a brother who never came home. She hadn't cried that night. She had simply shut the door in her heart, but now the door creaked open. Tears slid down her cheeks. I miss him, she choked. I miss him every day, and I tried to forget so it would hurt less, but it never stopped hurting. Ren stepped closer. Then don't forget. Just remember... Differently, she turned to him. I don't want you to go. I know, he said, but I was never meant to stay. I'm just the rain's memory of him. She reached for him, hand trembling, and for the first time, she felt his touch. Real, warm, solid Dot just for a moment. I want to remember him and keep moving forward. She said softly. Ren smiled. Then the loop is breaking. She blinked. He was glowing now, softly, like morning light through a curtain. The rain around them had stopped completely. Somewhere in the distance, a bird cried. A new day waited. Dot and Aoi realized. The rain had always been trying to teach her how to say goodbye without forgetting how to love. Asterisk, asterisk. Chapter 9. The last letter of the harbor was quiet now. The sun had broken through the clouds, casting a soft golden glow over the water and worn wood of the dock. Aoi stood with Ren, her heart pounding in her chest. She held the last letter in her hands, fingers trembling. Dear Aoi, if you're reading this, it means you've come back to me. Not as a ghost of the past, but as the person you're becoming. I've waited in the rain because I wanted to protect you from the pain, from the fear of losing me. But love isn't protection, it's trust. So I'm asking you now to rest yourself. Trust the memories, both the beautiful and the painful. And when you're ready, say goodbye, but say it with love. I'll always be with you. In every raindrop, every sunset, every quiet moment. Forever your brother. Haruki closed her eyes, letting the words wash over her like the gentle sea breeze. Ren reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. Are you ready? He asked softly. She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks, not just of sadness, but of something new, peace. She took a deep breath. Goodbye, Haruki. The wind picked up, swirling around them like a whispered song. Ren smiled, eyes shimmering. I'm free now. Before Aoi could ask what he meant, he stepped back. His form began to dissolve like mist caught in sunlight, until all that was left was the faint scent of rain and a feeling of warmth in her heart. Aoi stood alone on the dock. The rain began to fall again, light and comforting. She looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you." A new chapter was beginning, not just in the story she shared with Haruki, but in her own life. The rain no longer scared her. It was a reminder of love, loss, and the strength to keep moving forward. Asterisk, asterisk, chapter 10. The rain softened to a whisper, then stopped. The sky slowly brightened, the clouds parting to reveal a pale blue like a promise. Aoi walked away from the harbor. Each step lighter than the last. She carried the last letter folded, carefully in her pocket and her sketchbook under her arm. Back in town, the streets glistened with fresh puddles reflecting the morning sun. At the bookstore, Mr. Nakamura smiled warmly when she entered. Back again, he said gently. Aoi nodded, returning the smile. I think I'm ready now. She took her usual seat by the window, where the light spilled in like a gentle embrace. Opening her sketchbook, she began to draw not the pain or the loss, but the moments that made her smile. Haruki's laugh, the cliffs, the clear umbrella, the rain that once felt endless, but now felt like a friend. That afternoon, Aoi met Miki at the cafe. She told her about the letters, about Ren, about the rain, and the memories. Maikei, I listened, wide-eyed but patient. Sounds like a story only you could live, she said with a grin. Aoi laughed softly. Yeah, and maybe that's okay. As the sun dipped low, Aoi stood outside her house, watching the last light fade behind the hills. She felt something new settle inside her, a quiet hope, a gentle strength. The rain had taught her many things. How to remember without drowning. How to say goodbye without losing love. How to open the door again. And in the soft twilight, a faint shimmer brushed past her. A feeling, a memory, a blessing. Aoi smiled. She was ready for the next chapter, for the life waiting beyond the rain. And asterisk, asterisk.